Welcome to the start of a brand new series. This series will eventually expand to cover many games and genres, with one central theme throughout: challenge playthroughs or runs. These can give a game a lot of replayability, or up the difficulty to a more desirable level for the hardcore gamers out there. Before we get started, let me cover a few ground rules. First, while the challenge doesn't need to have been completed or finished for me to cover it, it does need to be possible. Second, I'm going to stick to the more interesting and more innovative challenges, just as a general rule of thumb, because while something can be very difficult, it may not be very interesting to watch. We're going to start with one of the games that I think is most fitting for a series of this nature: Dark Souls. The Soulsborne games have many installments throughout, and so many challenge runs dreamt up across them that it's hard to keep track. But here are some of the more crazy and interesting ones that I found. Soul Level 1 Run. This list is ranked mostly by difficulty, and partially by ease of access to these challenges. So we're starting with a great one to get your feet wet, and arguably the least restrictive. Soul Level 1 is exactly what it sounds like. You never level your character. But the reason it's not as difficult as you may be thinking is, you can still upgrade and use quite a variety of gear, even at level 1. And the damage you can dish out with things like lightning and special weapons is quite substantial. Enough to kill some bosses with ease, should you vaguely remember their attacks and patterns. If simple New Game Plus isn't difficult enough or interesting enough for you, definitely give Soul Level 1 a try and let me know what you think. Certain weapons only. Next up on the list is another challenge run where the name says it all: using a certain weapon, or weapons, your entire playthrough. Now initially, I suspect many people will disagree with my ranking of the first two on this list. But if you choose the right, or depending on your perspective, wrong, weapon, this in my experience has been, and can be, much more difficult than Soul Level 1. Even though you can pump points into any stat you want, there are quite a number of very limiting weapons in Dark Souls. The difficulty is set almost entirely on what you choose. With something like a Kestis, damage is slightly limited, but range substantially. And you can go to such extremes as to use only a broken sword. Good luck having fun with that one. Randomizer use what you see. Finally, a challenge run that isn't so self-explanatory. A randomizer playthrough can change the game in many different fashions, but almost all require modding the game in some way. In essence, things in the game are to a varying extent randomized. This can include weapons, enemies, bosses, and even key items, like the Lord Vessel. This makes the game so much more replayable than it already is, and in conjunction with other challenges, such as Use What You See, which forces you to use whatever random gear you come across, this can make the game's difficulty ramp up much more than you may have initially guessed. This challenge's unpredictability makes it one of the most exciting to watch, and I'm very tempted to try it in the future. No Controller Run. Next up is a family of challenges that requires some serious dedication. A No Controller Run has many variations, but essentially you play the game with something it wasn't meant to be played with. People have managed to play, and some beat, Dark Souls with everything from a Guitar Hero guitar to a Dance Dance Revolution pad. YouTube user GB Bearsley even beat the game with voice recognition only. Video link below. This type of challenge obviously can vary on difficulty depending on what you choose to use. But the reason I rank this one so highly is that many runs aren't just difficult to play and win. Some are problematic just to set up. Comment down below what you think are the wildest no-controller runs you've seen out there. No Hit, No Death Run. Last on the list, something so difficult that the world's first completion of it wasn't until over 4 years after the game came out. I think I stand with many people here when I say before this was done, I didn't believe it was actually possible. The Happy Hog proved us all wrong, and not only was Dark Souls 1 beaten without taking a hit, he eventually went on to beat the entire Souls series, starting with Dark Souls 3 and ending with 1, without taking a hit. Back to back. Let that sink in for a moment. He states it took him over a year of trying to finally do it, and I think most people would agree with me, placing this at number 1 on the list. Check out that video and all others mentioned in the description below. Did you agree with my list? What game should I make a video on next? Comment down below. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and check out these 2 playlists linked here. The top playlist is my Dark Souls playlist, and the bottom is the challenge playthroughs.